You know, it's almost impossible to put more horsepower. You get a supercharged JK. It is so typical for a motor to easily push 400, 500, 600 horsepower. Now, that's fine until you complicate things with a 40-inch tire, a crazy transfer situation. I mean, this just gets nuts in a heartbeat, and I'm just the guy to break things. But now there's something really, really cool. The E-Locker by EATON. Tell me a little bit about this technology.
That's right, and you nailed it on the head. All of that added power is something that we have to respond to. And with the launch of our brand new Dana 60 and Dana 70 E-Locker applications, we have looked at all of those requirements and built what is the toughest, fastest E-Locker we've ever made.
Give me a rundown. So what a lot of people don't understand is the multiplication involved, like the tire, the horsepower, and how stuff actually breaks. Because like me, you go get the big tires and you go, oh yeah, well I need more horsepower. You need something. You can't just throw big tires on one of these, or like a 4Runner or something like that. Especially a 4Runner. Been there, done that. It's a yard sale when you look at what's left of the transfer case. But you know, with something like this, very industrial, real tough stuff.
Right. So the easy part is the math.
Right.
So you talk about whatever you're running, horsepower and torque-wise.
Right.
Then you run it through whatever transmission you've got and whatever ratios you've got. Our featured EATON E-Locker vehicle, custom built to highlight our new 60 and 70, uses the Atlas 4-speed transfer case. So start combining a 6-speed transmission with a 4-speed transfer case with a 583 ring and pinion ratio with a 40-inch tire,
Here it comes.
and I can get to a 250-to-1 ratio at the wheel.
That's not going to be pretty. That's not pretty if you don't. If you don't have the right equipment. That's just a yard sale.
That's right. So when we set to work on the new 60 and 70 E-Locker, we looked at every single component in it. So whether it's the case, whether it's the gear set, the actuation itself is all redesigned to not only handle those loads, but to also perform in a way that the rock crawler market, which I'm sorry, it just doesn't get any tougher than that, is going to respond to. So, for example, actuation time. I'm climbing up some crazy 60% grade. I've got a cliff over here on my left.
Yeah, the other side, you have the fall off of about 300 feet.
That's right. So I have to run in the locked mode to get up that grade, but at the top of it, to make sure I don't go off of that cliff, I've got to make a hard 90, and I need to unlock that differential just as quickly as I locked it. And the E-Locker, the new 60 and 70, which by the way is available now in 40 spline as well, again in response to all these gobs of horsepower, is going to respond to those instantaneous lock and unlock commands that the driver needs to make the vehicle perform as necessary in something as extreme as rock crawling.
You know, this is your sweet spot because you guys live in the performance, in the supercharging spot, so you work with all these vehicles to figure out what's going to go through the entire drivetrain. EATON's got its covered. You know, now when we get to the drivetrain and putting it to the tires, that's the magical moment. I got to tell you something. This looks like a real good solution for that.
Absolutely. And you know what the best part of the job is? We don't get to just make the differentials. We get to prove them. Back where I'm from in Michigan, our proving ground facility, that's where we get the job done.
Yeah, well, he's got lots of insurance because when you're at the top, the only way you can figure out how to make that turn, that's what happens. You definitely, the Jeep has to turn, and if it doesn't, if you don't have the right equipment, you can get in a real bind off the top of a cliff, going through, you know, tight spots, rock climbing, things like that. That's a real sharp solution. So if you want more information on this, the full rundown, all the tech support, all the answers you need, you can go to EatonPerformance.com.